Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios of turning more characters from the amazing digital circus into SCPs. Part 3! Let's hop in and check this out.
The Glitch Productions animated phenomenon Amazing Digital Circus has finally gotten its second episode.
Woohoo!
And just as I'd hoped, they introduced a bunch of new characters that I could turn into SCPs in my Digital Circus SCP series. And even though now I'm focusing more on my original stories like Vigilance, Mytholethal, Multiverse Tales, I am pretty excited to get back to another episode of this too. So let's get into it, shall we?
Let's go!
Hit like
If you want, subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show.
Good evening, everyone.
And of course, we're starting out with the one, the only, Zooballs, who apparently only has... Oh, never mind.
We are once again returning to our rather new lecture series on digital entities that fall into the subcategory SCP-D, and specifically ones that have been observed within the realm classified SCP-D700, or the Digital Circus. Our unknowing eyes and ears in this realm are still Foundation operative Elizabeth Freeman, who is trapped in this place and has...
Oh, okay, hold on. I'm just pausing to real quick to point this out. He's actually doing something a little different. Here, let me lower this. Okay, so now look, if you look at the two Zubal designs, they have different parts and pieces. But if you look at what he's doing, he's kept the square from this design, the arm from this design, and he took the arrow thing from this design, and the leg from this design. He took two from both. I was just pointing it out because I think it's a little interesting.
Has no memory of her life outside of it, or her work for our Foundation. Prior to commencing discussion on today's SCPs, I'd like to make one amendment to my previous lecture. I referred to the garment worn by SCP-D707, also known in this realm as Kinger, as a red cape, when in actuality it is a purple robe. While this may seem trivial, any detail, no matter how small, may eventually prove to be essential information.
True.
Now, many of the entities we will go over today are ones encountered by Agent Freeman on a recent outing to another territory of this realm.
Oh.
But first, we will begin with an...
You had to give Zubal a mouth, and you decided to put it there. I can't hate, I can only question.
Entity who we believe to be in the same situation as Ms. Freeman. They are very likely a human trapped in this realm, with no memory of their life in the outside world, and this prisoner in particular has even fewer memories and self-awareness than the others. Item number SCP-D709. Object Class, Safe. Special Containment Procedures. As with all entities discussed today, D709 is trapped within the Digital Circus and needs no further containment. This entity is also one we will likely aid in escaping this realm when we have learned what we need to and have determined how to bring our own operative out.
Once we learn what we need, then your ass can get out.
D709 appears similar to a collection of barely related children's toy parts stuck together. The parts by which they're made up somewhat resemble the entities referred to within this realm as the Gloinks, the queen of which we discussed in a previous lecture. D709 has proven able to change the parts by which their body is constructed, rearranging arms, legs, antennae, and so forth, though their head and the core of their torso appear thus far to remain consistent. Their real-world consciousness also seems to be channeled directly into their head, as the entity has been seen communicating unhindered through its head when separated from the rest of their body. It seems from research conducted thus far that this entity, unlike the others in the Digital Circus, does not recall what gender they are outside the confines of D700, suggesting that their memory was more impacted than others trapped within. They also seem to have a rather short fuse, emotionally speaking, and to be disinterested in participating in events orchestrated for the prisoners to partake in that allegedly keep them from losing their minds, or, as it is referred to in this realm, abstracting, such as has already occurred with D708. On the outing we'll be largely focusing on today, D709 elected not to participate, showing that these prisoners are granted the option of whether or not they'd like to participate in the activities organized by the ringmaster D702. We will move on to the aforementioned outing now.
Okay, so I'm guessing we're going to get Gummy Gator or Gummigoo or as he's actually known as, and the Candy Queen, or Fudge, the Sludge.
As previously mentioned, the
Candy
remaining
Queen.
entities we'll cover today are all ones Agent Freeman encountered upon partaking in a sort of adventure, apparently constructed by the ringmaster of this realm, Entity D702, also referred to as Kane. It has become the Foundation's current position on this entity that Kane is likely using the beings trapped within, such as Agent Freeman, to conduct experiments, though the purpose of which are still not understood. While Kane does act generally pleasantly towards the prisoners, it should not be assumed that this entity is safe. One of the
Is it wrong that I want to eat her? Probably not, considering she's candy.
lead researchers studying this realm for the Foundation, Professor Goodwin, has stated that she strongly believes Entity D702 is as benevolent as he acts, but this is not currently the Foundation's official position, nor do I think it could become such without much further evidence. Entity D702 seemed very desperate to send the prisoners off on this quest, shoving them through a gateway to another part of this realm that he seems to have built before they stated
Goodbye,
they were
shove.
ready. Our strongest assumption currently is that these adventures D702 constructs from his own concocted artificial intelligent beings and worlds are trials through which he, or his yet undetermined leaders, acquire data and information on how Agent Freeman and the others conduct themselves during the ordeals.
Ooh,
With that said,
maybe.
it would be ignorant to ignore that the worlds D702 is able to construct are quite impressive and elaborate. This first new world and the majority of artificially intelligent beings within it were completely constructed from various types of chocolate, sweets, and candy. The only beings that did not fit that description were the general mass residents of a candy kingdom, ruled over by the first entity we'll cover. These residents simply appeared as various colored sentient mannequins, the likes of which have been seen around the digital circus previously.
Very common.
Item number SCP-D723. Object class, either safe or neutralized. Special containment
Oh,
procedures
yes,
are
because of
irrelevant
Fudge.
and will be skipped for the remaining entities today. Description: D723
Wait, what did
is
it
the
say?
art of the remaining entity realized. Special containment procedures are irrelevant and will be skipped for the remaining entities today.
Oh, okay.
Description: D723 is the artificial intelligent princess of the Candy Kingdom, seemingly made to present Agent Freeman and the other prisoners with their quest to retrieve a truck full of syrup from bandits that had stolen it from the kingdom. Her attire and body all appeared to be made from, or at least based on, some form of desserts. Her hair was constructed from fruit gummy slices, her dress coated in
Tasty.
icing, and even the pupils of her skewed eyes appeared like some sort of gumdrops. While we have
I
only
kinda thought
observed
there
our
was, like,
operative out
lollipop
on
heads.
one adventure in this fashion, it is easy to assume that many of these adventures will be framed similarly to this, with an AI in need giving a task to the prisoners for them to then complete. It appears to be like a more elaborate version of the role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons, in which
Very
a
advanced.
dungeon master comes up with a world for players to inhabit and trials for them to overcome in whatever manner they choose. Admittedly, I previously thought of such games as childish wastes of time, but upon doing some research in my own time, I have learned that such pastimes can improve problem-solving, communication, and collaboration skills
Well,
in
actually,
those who
very
participate.
useful.
As such, it will be interesting to see if Agent Freeman's skills in this regard improve by partaking in a much more realistic and immersive version of this game. Anyhow, once given the mission and some parameters of it, the Princess D723 played very little part in the events that followed.
And here we go. Well, it's not bad. I still want to eat them.
Quick interruption to say that if you
Edible.
enjoy my storytelling, I highly recommend checking out my new series, Vigilance. It takes place in a world where superpowered people fight in a very popular sports competition called the Global Vigilance League. It's a semi-anthology series, so you can jump
Oh.
in on any of the 7 episodes that are currently released, and still understand what's happening, but some of the more important characters also get sequel episodes, like Freya Sparks and Agama Knight. It's got superheroes, it's got
That's kinda
monsters,
cool.
and most of the episodes are based around life lessons that I've personally learned that helped me significantly improve my mental health and go from being a not so happy person to a very happy person. So they're fun, they've got action, some
Very
romance,
nice.
some comedy,
Very nice.
and hopefully they're inspiring. Not quite the tone of this episode, but you'd probably still enjoy it. Anyway, I'll link the playlist, but now back into more Digital Circus
Who's
SCPs. Let's go.
Oh, Gumagoo.
Is officially a
We'll be right back. And we're back with Gummy Goo.
Officially constructed adventure soon led Agent Freeman to encounter the main antagonist. Item number SCP-D724. Object class, neutralized. Description: D724 was a humanoid crocodile whose body was made from an edible gelatin substance, as would construct gummy candies in our world. Its body was yellowish-orange, white, and green. It wore no clothing other than a cowboy hat and spoke in an Australian accent. Kane, or D702, seems to have taken the time to give this entity and its two similarly constructed allies an emotional backstory about a sick mother and struggling village for whom they'd stolen the syrup from the Candy Kingdom. We suspect this is to gather more information on Agent Freeman's responses to these beings, possibly as a psychological experiment, though the events of the adventure did go very much off the rails from what was intended by Kane. Or at least they seemed to. Soon after encountering these antagonist AIs, Agent Freeman and D724 wound up glitching through the map constructed by Kane and falling into what seemed to be like a sort of AI beta testing room, where there were unrigged sample models of the AI from this adventure, including D724. Above them in this room also floated models of a Utah teapot, also known as a Newell teapot, which is a standard reference object for 3D animators and modelers. We are utilizing this information to try and determine if some real-world software, or an advanced version of some existing 3D software, was used in the construction of the digital circus realm.
Ooh, maybe.
Anyhow, D724's reaction to seeing a full-scale model of itself, its allies, and other beings from its world sent it into a confused and depressed state, from which Agent Freeman's kind and helping nature prompted her to try and comfort this being, despite it being a soulless AI unworthy of her emotions and attention. While this whole ordeal of glitching through the map seems to have been accidental, it is also not beyond suspicion that this event too occurred on purpose to gauge how someone such as Agent Freeman would react to an AI going through an emotional crisis. She did inform the entity that it was an artificial intelligent being made by Kane, but did so in the most comforting and supportive way she could.
But you can be.
She was able to comfort D724 enough for the two of them to then come up with a plan to return to the main map, where Agent Freeman and D724's allies had encountered another unusual AI entity, which we will discuss in a moment. Upon returning to the map, Agent Freeman came up with a compromise to ensure both she and her allies could complete their task and D724's allies could bring Syrup back to their likely non-existent village. D724 returned with Agent Freeman to the main hub of the digital circus, with her believing he could then remain as a friend during her time in this realm.
Yeah, could stay in a separate
Unfortunately, Kane promptly erased D724 from existence, believing it to
No, he didn't erase, he just made the guy go, yeah, out of existence.
be an accident that one of his AI creations returned from the mission with our operative. He seemed to take no notice of Agent Freeman's emotional reaction to this, but again, this could also have been staged as a way to gauge her reaction. Agent Freeman appeared to be quite distraught at this event, despite, again, this entity having been an AI, equating to not much more than an elaborate imaginary friend.
Hey, it's someone that can talk, feel, and think. I couldn't think of anything else to say. Hey, I guess I'm an AI.
Finally, for today, we will discuss the entity that Agent Freeman's allies encountered during her absence. She had little interaction with this entity, but we have learned more about it as a result of observing her fellow prisoners discussing it. Item number SCP-D726. Object class, either safe or neutralized. To clarify, this is because we are uncertain if the worlds these adventures exist in remain in existence after the prisoners complete their task and return home, or if Kane promptly erases them. Description: D726 is a sentient
If I had to guess, he treats it like a video game level. Well, just resets it back so no one is dead and no one is aware.
artificially intelligent pool of liquefied fudge. It can
I mean, honestly, he probably did that anyway because of Gummy Goo getting out. And it's like, uh-oh, can't have you out here. Erase! And then we're just like reset the world. And done.
merge completely
So
with the
Gummy
river
Goo's
of
back
fudge
now,
that it
thinking
was
he has to
first
save his
found
mother.
in, but we are uncertain as to how much of
There's only
that
one
fluid is
truck.
part of this actual entity and what is simply the terrain it resides in. It was most commonly seen as simply a head sticking out of the river, with teeth mostly made up of sharp candy corn and eyes made of jawbreakers. It also proved able to spawn limbs from
I
the
wanna eat
fudge
his
to
eyes.
grab, lift, and
I
maneuver
haven't a
objects
jawbreak on
and
Yields.
beings
Get off my
around it.
back.
The entity had its own concocted backstory, suggesting that Kane believed it likely the prisoners would encounter this creature. It claimed to have been banished from the Candy Kingdom for killing and
okay,
consuming
actually.
its residents. One of the prisoners discussed in previous lectures, D704, aka Jax, promptly made a deal with this entity upon meeting it to help them complete their mission. In exchange, Jax would then use a key to the kingdom given to the prisoners by the Princess D723 to allow this fudge monster back into the lands so it could continue to consume the residents.
Jax
Some in the
loves chaos.
Foundation have concluded from this that D704, or Jax, has sociopathic tendencies, but others believe simply that he acknowledges what many of the others should have already, that all the entities they were encountering were artificial intelligent programs, and showing them any emotion or compassion is a waste of time.
I mean, regardless of they're real or not, it's still killing them. I mean, unless they're evil.
Though, as a reminder, this
Come on!
prisoner has shown to care little for
You
the
know,
safety
speaking
and
of truth.
suffering of his fellow prisoners in the past, suggesting that the theory of sociopathic tendencies is certainly valid. At the conclusion of this mission, once returning to the digital circus, it was clear that Jax had left the gateway to the Candy Kingdom open, so the fudge-constructed
Not a lot,
entity
but still.
D726 could enter and consume the residents and princess inside. But, as previously stated, it is entirely possible that Kane simply erases these realms once the prisoner's tasks are completed. Now, that is all the time we have for today. When more entities are encountered or there is more information available about Agent Freeman's predicament, we will likely return to lectures on this matter. But for now, thank you, and good night.
And boom. There we go. We have oh wait, what's her name? Zorbel? Zoogle? Well, damn it, my brain
If you
is
enjoyed
crap.
this episode, I do have 2 other episodes of Amazing Digital Circus SCPs, and a whole series of turning different things into SCPs, like Pokemon and cartoon characters, Digimon. I don't even remember all the things I've turned into SCPs at this point. But also, again,
Oh, yeah,
if you like my
there's a lot.
storytelling, Vigilance. Highly recommend it. It's even up on Spotify now, and I'm going to be turning it into a book when the first season is done. But besides
Oh.
that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of
Positive or inspiring note.
And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote I read this week from someone named Jade Byrne, who said, "Be more concerned with not losing yourself than not losing others." Not to easily dismiss
Okay.
relationships in your life, but know that if you're not being true to yourself, you're building a relationship that's based around a false version of you, and then those relationships are essentially not even real.
If you are the true you, you're not being true to them. Oh, I like that.
Be the truest version of yourself you can be, and then build relationships with people who like that version of you, because you will find them. I hope that's inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode, which will probably be Vigilance or Mytholethal or something. We'll see. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all you kids next time when we flick on. Peace out.